August 22nd, 1485. A battlefield in central England. In a few hours, it will be the grave of a king and the birthplace of a dynasty. This is the Battle of Bosworth Field. For decades, the Wars of the Roses have torn England apart. On one side, the Yorks, a noble family descended from Edward III's eldest son, whose lineage can be traced back to a white rose. On the other, the Lancasters, descended from Edward's second son, who fought under a red rose. Richard III, the last Yorkist king, took the throne after the mysterious death of two young princes in the Tower, possibly ordered by his brother, the former king, Edward IV. But Henry Tudor, a distant Lancastrian heir, has returned from exile in France with one goal: take the crown. Richard has around 8,000 men, battle-hardened and experienced. Henry has about 5,000 troops, mostly inexperienced and reliant on foreign allies. But he does have one powerful wild card: Lord Stanley, a local magnate who controls thousands of troops, but whose loyalty is in question. Henry sets up his forces along a ridge overlooking the plain below, hoping to catch Richard's army in a trap. But Richard, eager to end the threat to his throne, charges up the hill with his cavalry. Accounts differ, but he may have even wielded a sword in his own hand. It was a rare personal appearance on the battlefield for an English king. Richard's forces reach the top of the ridge and nearly break Henry's lines, and Richard rides toward the fleeing king, possibly even shouting, "Hold, traitor! Hold!" But then Lord Stanley's troops arrive, turning the tide of battle and driving Richard's forces back down the hill. In the melee, Richard is unhorsed. Accounts differ as to how exactly it happens, but all agree that he ends up fighting on foot, desperately trying to regroup and rally his forces. But the battle is slipping away. The famous Tudor chronicler Edward Hall wrote, "The king was at that time so sore wounded with hurts that it was great pity to behold." Soon, Henry's forces are upon him, and according to one account, Henry himself strikes a final blow. Whether or not that's true, Richard is dead, the last English king to die in battle. Richard's crown, however, survives the fray and is found later, stuck in the mud. Hall claimed that Henry had it placed on his head while Richard's body was still warm. Either way, Henry Tudor is crowned king, beginning the Tudor dynasty that will rule England for over a century. Richard's body is taken to Leicester and buried in a church, though his remains later get lost to history. Bosworth doesn't just end the Wars of the Roses. It ushers in a new age in England. Henry's marriage to Elizabeth of York, a first cousin once removed, unites the two warring factions and begins the process of healing the wounds of the past. Richard, meanwhile, fades into legend, remembered as a hunchback tyrant, possibly due to propaganda spread by Henry, who claimed that Richard was deformed and wicked. In fact, Richard's bones wouldn't be rediscovered until 2012, when archaeologists working on a parking lot project in Leicester found a skeleton with scoliosis, a curved spine, which would cause a hunchback. Could this really be Richard III? They also found a battle-damaged skull, several broken ribs, and a possible cut or puncture wound on the spine, consistent with a traumatic death like Richard's. And a 2013 analysis of the bones revealed that the individual was indeed male, around 32 years old, and died a violent death. Though there were no remains of a head wound, which might have healed before the body decomposed. Richard's ultimate battle may have been over, but his story was just beginning. Thanks for watching.